Yo, what's up, guys? It's Noah here, breaking down the Week 17 NFL slate on Draftkings and Yahoo. Last week of the regular season, it's kind of bittersweet. I will still be putting up NFL content in the playoffs. I'll still be playing the playoff slates pretty much all the way up until the Super Bowl. But this is our last full slate of the season. We got 15 games on DraftKings. We got the full 16 over on Yahoo, and it's Week 17, so there's going to be a lot of news that comes out the next couple of days with teams resting their starters. We've already got news on some players like Lamar Jackson not going to play this week. There's a chance that guys like Josh Allen maybe only play limited snaps. Some of the Ram starters have reportedly, or it's reportedly come out that some of the Ram starters might not see full snaps this week. So that's going to be stuff we have to monitor as we head into Saturday and Sunday. I am recording this video on Friday morning, so we're pretty late into the week. We know a lot of this stuff, but there is still some news we're waiting on heading up until Sunday. But we're just going to go through each position, quarterback through tight end. We'll talk about defense as well, hit on defense real quick, but mainly quarterback through tight end. Talk about some of my favorite plays, what I like as a Friday morning. We'll talk about DraftKings and Yahoo. If you guys do want to get access to all of my exclusive and updated content over on Patreon, I do provide a lot of updated and in-depth content over there. I provide NFL content on the weekends, Friday. I post NFL content Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I have my cash game player pool, roster construction video, ownership show, my article where I pretty much do a full breakdown of the slate, who I like the most at each position. My closing thoughts video goes up Sunday morning where I break down the slate one more time, talk about all my favorite plays. You can check out all the stuff I have on Patreon. I do also post NBA content over there Monday through Friday. You can check out everything I have to offer over there. You can get both NFL and NBA combined at a cheaper price. So if you do play both in NBA and NFL, you can get both sports combined, like a bundle package over there. That's what I offer on Patreon. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to be putting up content on Patreon during the playoff slates. So after week 6, or after this week, after week 17, I will still have content for NFL. I'll post stuff for the wild card, the divisional round, and the conference championship playoff slates. But drop a like on the video if you do enjoy, guys. As always, I greatly appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. You can click that notification bell so that way you get notified every time I upload. And if you have not yet, you can also follow me on Twitter. Link down below at DFS by Noah. But let's go ahead and take a look at quarterback for this week. So no Lamar Jackson this week. Most expensive quarterback on DraftKings is Patrick Mahomes, $7,200. And I don't think at quarterback like Mahomes, I don't think he's a guy I'm really going to be spending for this week. There are some other quarterbacks I like that are cheaper. On Yahoo, I think that's probably where I had the most interest in Mahomes, given that he's actually the fifth most expensive quarterback. He's cheaper than Breeze, cheaper than Tannehill, cheaper than Watson and Winston. Like, if I'm going to play Mahomes, it's probably going to be on Yahoo, where he's only $35. Without Lamar Jackson on this slate, Mahomes is like the next guy to Lamar Jackson just in terms of like upside for a quarterback. But still don't think I'm going to be really going to him. I think my favorite quarterbacks are like in this mid-range, this mid-6K range. Really like this spot for Deshaun Watson at home against the Titans. I believe the Texans do have something to play for this week, so they should be playing their starters like full run. I'm not exactly sure on that. Can read right here in the blurb, see if it'll tell us something about if the Texans have something to play for. I think they do. I think they can play for seeding. Like if a certain team loses, they can get better seeding in the playoffs. This is a big game against the Titans. I know the Titans are still fighting for a playoff spot. So I'm expecting Watson to play his full snaps or whatever if he's able to go this week at home against the Titans team that you can beat through the air. It's been pretty bad against the pass this season. Definitely like this spot for Deshaun Watson. He was really popular on the Week 15 slate. I had quite a bit of him that week. Didn't have the greatest game against the Titans, only 18 DraftKings points. I would expect a much better performance this week. Like him quite a bit at 6,700. But my favorite quarterback on the slate is definitely Jameis Winston. I just love Jameis Winston here at home against the Falcons. This is a great spot against the Falcons team that we've been targeting all season through the air. This is a team you can definitely beat through the air. You just look at Winston's pass attempts. Like, he's throwing the ball 35, 40 plus times a game. Even in games where the Buccaneers are ahead, like even against Detroit where they were up for most of that game, like by multiple touchdowns, Winston still threw the ball 42 times. Like, he's just been his pass volume is so high this season, throwing the ball 45, 50 times. Even if he throws 2-3 interceptions, it doesn't really matter when he's throwing for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns. This game definitely has shootout potential. It does have one of the higher totals on the slate. We don't have a ton of crazy high totals this week. Like right now, the highest total is the Rams and Cardinals at 49. Next highest is this Buccaneers and Falcons game. Right now, Buccaneers-Falcons has a 48 total. I think this is going to be one of the better games of the slate to target. I like Winston's receivers this week. They're still a little underpriced, especially a guy like Justin Watson. So Jameis Winston, the guy I'm looking to build around on DraftKings at 6,600. I do expect him to be one of the more popular quarterbacks, but I think for good reason, given the matchup. On Yahoo, where he's the most expensive quarterback at $40, I think he's going to be very low owned over there. And that's where I really like him as well. Getting Winston low owned this week on Yahoo is going to makes very interesting. Like a lot of people are probably going to go to Mahomes. I think Mahomes is going to get quite a bit of ownership on Yahoo. If Jared Goff plays his full snaps, that'll be something we need to monitor heading up until Sunday. Assuming Goff is full go, $33 at home against the Cardinals, I suspect he would get some ownership as well. Even Aaron Rodgers all the way down here at 31 probably gets some ownership. But I really like Winston, paying up for him. I don't think that's going to be something people do, especially with like Lamar Jackson off the slate. Normally people don't pay up at quarterback. People like rarely pay up for Lamar Jackson to begin with. I mean, I don't think he's been over 15% owned like any slate on Yahoo this week or this season. I wouldn't expect Winston gets even 10% ownership, if that. So really like Winston this week. I think on the other side of that game, Matt Ryan, definitely have interest in him. 6,500, really good spot. Bad Buccaneers pass defense. We know how easy the Bucs can be beat through the air. Dak Prescott, I like quite a bit in this must-win game for the Cowboys. The Cowboys and Eagles both play at 4 o'clock. They play at the same times. If the Eagles win, the Cowboys are out of the playoffs. If the Eagles lose and the Cowboys win, then the Cowboys are in. So, I mean, the Cowboys need to win regardless. With the Eagles playing at the same time, it's not like the Cowboys can rest their starters if the Eagles lose or if the Eagles win, because they won't know the game's going on at the same time. I mean, maybe if the Eagles get up big in the first half, they're up like 21-0. Maybe the Cowboys pull their starters in the second half, but I'm assuming they're playing to win, so regardless. So I'm assuming Dak plays his full snaps. 6,300 against the Redskins. Definitely a matchup I like quite a bit. I like a lot of Cowboys this week. I think they're going to be a team I'm going to be pretty heavy on. I think this is a great spot for Zeke. I love the pass catchers now that they're back at home, where they have been much better this season. Definitely have interest in Prescott. Also like Goff quite a bit. 6,200 against the Cardinals, assuming he plays his full snaps. Really good spot for Jared Goff. He's been much better at home just throughout his career. Really good matchup. I know the Cardinals are like bottom 3 or bottom 2 in pass DVOA this season. Easily a team that can be beat through the air. In terms of value, though, at quarterback, I like Wentz as well, but I wouldn't consider him a value. Must-win game for the Eagles. I expect Wentz to play very well. But under 6K, there really isn't a ton of value that I love. I think if Kyler Murray plays 5,500, he's probably one of the better values if you are going to go cheap at quarterback. I think Case Keenum is definitely in play as a value as well. We already know that Dwayne Haskins is going to be out this week, so Keenum's going to draw the start. 4,500 on the road against Dallas. I expect Dallas probably wins this game. The Redskins are probably going to be trailing. Keenum's going to have to throw a lot. He's only 4,500. Value's hard to come by in terms of quarterbacks, so I can definitely see using Keenum at his salary. Brett Hundley as well. If Kyler Murray's out, Brett Hundley I would have interest in, especially because he has like rushing upside. 4,500 as well. He would be in play as a value at this position. But moving on to the running back position, Christian McCaffrey at the top for 10K against the Saints. I think is definitely one of the top plays on the slate. I do prefer him over a guy like Michael Thomas. Only a $100 difference on DraftKings. Give me McCaffrey over Thomas this week. There is definitely a narrative here with Christian McCaffrey. The offensive coordinator has already come out and said that they're going to try and do everything they can to get McCaffrey the record. I think he needs 67 receiving yards to get to 1,000 receiving yards and 1,000 rushing yards. There's also a couple more records is trying to get. I think he needs like 200-something yards from scrimmage to pass Chris Johnson. So I think there's a narrative here with McCaffrey. It seems he's going to play his full amount of snaps. They're going to try and get him the ball so he can beat some records. Like the offensive coordinator already said that he's going to fill his normal role. He's going to play his normal amount of snaps. He could be, or right here it says the running back workload could be scaled back as the game unfolds. Potentially as the game goes on, we could take a look at some of the other backs, which I guess that's a little bit scary, but I think McCaffrey, he's going to play at least probably 70-75% of the snaps. I don't know if he plays on 100% of the snaps, which is what he's been playing like the whole season. but still, like, he's one of the top studs on the slate. There's records he's trying to get. They're going to try and get him those records. So, I mean, his floor this season has pretty much been like 20 DraftKings points. Even on his worst games, you're still getting 20 DK points from McCaffrey. And we know the kind of upside he has if he gets into the end zone multiple times. So I still love him this week. I'm not going to include him in my 5 plays, but definitely one of the top options overall. I do really like this mid-range, though, at running back. I think this is a really good spot for Ezekiel Elliott at home against the Redskins. I like him quite a bit at 8K. Love Alvin Kamara on the other side of that Panthers game. This is a great spot for Alvin Kamara. We know how bad this Panthers run defense has been this season. Dead last in run DVOA. This is a team you can easily beat through the ground. When these teams did play back in Week 12, Kamara really didn't even have that good of a game. 11 carries for 54 yards, 9 catches for 48 yards, still had nearly 20 DraftKings points, and that was like a floor game from Kamara. I mean, if he gets 60, 70 rushing yards, maybe a touchdown, like 5 catches, 50 yards, I mean, he easily goes for 20-plus DK points. 7,800 on DK is a pretty nice price as well. I really like Kamara on both sides. I think on Yahoo, that's where he really stands out. He's all the way down here to $27. Looks like one of the better running back plays on Yahoo, and I imagine he will be very popular, but for good reason. The Saints still have something to play for. I believe if the Packers lose and the Saints win, then the Saints get the number 1 seed and they get a first-round bye. So they have something to play for. They need to win this game, and they need the Packers to lose. So I'm expecting their starters to play full snaps as well. Love Kamara at 7,800. Even a guy like Joe Mixon against the Browns, you can definitely beat the Browns through the ground. Mixon's getting a ton of volume right now. When we got the news last week that he was going to be, or there was like concerns with his workload given the illness, I did get off of him a little bit. I really liked the spot for him last week, but there were concerns with his workload. So I did lower my exposure, but I'm assuming he's full go this week, 7,200. He's going to get probably 15 to 20 carries. He's going to get work in the passing game. Like, he's just being used so much right now. 23 touches last week. I'd assume he probably gets similar work, if not more. I really like Joe Mixon. I think Marlon Mack's in a great spot, 6,900. Not my favorite play with his price coming up, but the matchup's really good. Definitely have interest in him in tournaments. Even a guy like Miles Sanders, assuming Jordan Howard remains out, he's been getting a ton of volume. Price is up, but the matchup's really good. I definitely have interest in Miles Sanders. Same with a guy like Phillip Lindsay, 6,100 as well. There's a lot of good plays in this mid-range at running back. There's definitely value we will talk about, but the mid-range is pretty strong. Even a guy like Melvin Gordon for 6K you could look to. But in terms of value, there are some good plays, 5K and below. Assuming Josh Jacobs remains out, I believe he's questionable as of Friday morning. DeAndre Washington you could look to against the Broncos. But I want to talk about 2 guys under 5K, or maybe 3. Sony Michel, 4,900 at home against the Dolphins. I really like in this spot. I mean, right now the Patriots, I believe, are like massive favorites here. I imagine they're double-digit favorites. Let's see if I can find this game. Yeah, the Patriots right now are 16-point home favorites. Pretty sure they have to win this game to get a first-round bye, so they are going to play their starters full reps, at least until the game. At least if the game stays relatively close. I mean, if the Patriots get up like 5 touchdowns, they're obviously going to pull some guys, but assuming Michel gets even 15, 17 touches in this game, like against this Dolphins team that has had one of the worst defenses overall, one of the worst run defenses, you can definitely target Michel this week. He doesn't get a ton of work in the passing game, which is always a concern on DraftKings, but he's probably going to get 20 carries. I mean, the last 2 weeks he's gotten over 20 touches, or he's got 20 touches or more. And the last 2 weeks, they've been using him a lot more. I definitely like going to him at 4,900 as a value at running back. I expect he'll be relatively low owned this week. Even a guy like Gus Edwards, we already know Mark Ingram's going to be out. Lamar Jackson's going to be out as well. We know this Baltimore team wants to run the ball as much as possible. Gus Edwards, I imagine, will be the starter, and then we'll see some Justice Hill as well. Edwards doesn't get a ton of work in the passing game, which is obviously a concern on DraftKings. Not getting running backs that can catch balls out of the backfield definitely hurts their value. It's a bad matchup as well. Like, Pittsburgh has a really good defense overall, really good run defense, but he's still pretty cheap, 4,800. He'll definitely be in my player pool, but I don't think he'll be like a core value play for me. But if LaShawn McCoy is inactive again this week, I think Damian Williams will be a core value for me. I mean, he's just getting a ton of work in games where McCoy is out. McCoy was a unexpected like late scratch or healthy scratch in that game against the Bears last Sunday night. And Damian Williams got 16 carries for 65 yards, 3 catches for 27 yards as well, and a receiving touchdown. Like, he just gets pretty much all the volume when McCoy is not out there. three targets. Like, he gets work in the passing game as well. Probably going to get 4 to 5 targets, probably 13 to 15 carries. This Chargers team you can definitely beat through the ground. They have had a pretty struggling defense as of late. Their defense has been pretty injury depleted as well. I mean, Damian Williams really stands out as a value running back on both sides. He's really cheap on Yahoo as well, only $15 over here. I really like Williams. I'm hoping McCoy is inactive. Like, I think McCoy might play this week. We'll just kind of have to wait and see there. Right now, like, the sites don't have him listed as like inactive or anything. He was a surprise inactive last Sunday night. We'll have to wait and see there. Even if McCoy plays, I still expect Damian Williams to be the number one running back and to get most of the volume. So I do like him quite a bit as a value at the position. But that's probably it for value at running back in terms of like core plays for me. Guys, I really see this stand out. So let's go ahead and move over to receiver now. So at receiver, if I'm paying up this week, I like this matchup a lot for Julio Jones, 8,500 against the Buccaneers. Like, Julio's just been a monster as of late. With Calvin Ridley out, his target share is just through the roof. I mean, he's got 35 targets the last 2 weeks, which is just absolutely insane. 10 for 166 last week against the Jaguars. We know this is a Tampa Bay team you can easily beat through the air. One of the worst secondaries. They have nobody that can match up against Julio. I think given the savings, I do prefer Julio over Thomas this week. And he's probably my favorite receiver to spend up for if I am gonna spend up. There are a lot of good options I like in the mid-range, and there's even some value I like at receiver this week. So I don't think I'm going to be like jamming in the expensive receivers, but obviously in like tournament stacks, I'll definitely have some like Winston to some of his receiver stacks and then run it back with Julio. Like, Julio probably will be one of my higher owned stud receivers, just like 7K and above. I think this is a really good spot for Devontae Adams as well. Packers need to win this game. Adams is going to play his full workload, so he's definitely in play at 8K for me. Even DeAndre Hopkins I like quite a bit against Tennessee. Tyreek Hill you could consider against the Chargers, but I think I'd probably prefer the other 3 guys listed above. But then if you're going like 7K or 6 to 7K range, we'll need to keep an eye on the status of these Rams receivers if they're going to play their full snaps, but really good spot for them. Woods is 7K, Kupp is 6,800. I know these Rams receivers are really cheap on Yahoo. Kupp is, see if I can find Kupp. Kupp's 25. Woods is all the way down here at 20. Like, Robert Woods, one of the top receiver plays on Yahoo if he's full go this week. That'll be something we should get more news on probably Saturday and Sunday morning on like the workload of these Rams guys. But as of now, I'm going into this slate assuming they play their full snaps. So I do have quite of interest in them. Woods, the guy I really like though, especially on Yahoo where he's only $20. But I do want to talk about the Tampa Bay receivers. So Rashad Perriman's got priced up quite a bit. He's up to 6,700, but like, he's worth this salary, especially in this matchup against the Falcons. I mean, he's just getting so much volume right now with no Chris Godwin, no Mike Evans. Chris Godwin has not been officially ruled out as of Friday morning, but I am expecting him to be out this week. I don't think he's practiced at all this week. I don't expect Godwin to play, so it's going to be Perriman, Watson getting pretty much all the reps at receiver for the Buccaneers. Perriman's just getting a ton of volume right now, 7 for 102 last week against the Texans. This is a spot where he could go for 20-plus DK points again. I don't consider him a core play at receiver for me, but definitely going to be in my player pool. I do expect to get exposure to him. Amari Cooper, though, I really like this week, and I think he's going to go incredibly overlooked. I expect he is very low owned, and he's one of my favorite plays overall on this slate. Love this matchup for him at home against the Redskins. We know Cooper has been much better at home this season. You look at his home and road splits. At home, he has averaged 24 DraftKings points. On the road, he has averaged 9 DK points. Like, whenever he's put up ceiling games this season, they have been at home. 34 DK points at home against Minnesota. 42 DK points at home against Green Bay. Against Miami at home, 26 DK points. Like, at home against the Giants, 25 DK points. Not saying he's going to put up a big game just because he's at home, but the matchup is really good. Even if they were on the road, like, I still would have a ton of interest in Cooper here. This Redskins defense, they're bottom 10 in both pass and run DVOA. Just one of the worst defenses overall. Redskins don't really have an elite corner they can put on Cooper. Like, Cooper can burn anybody that they put across from him, especially whatever guy they put on him from the Redskins. So, love Amari Cooper. 6,500 on DK. I think he's going to go really overlooked. I think he's going to be very low owned. On Yahoo, I like him a ton as well. $23, especially if like these Rams receivers are good to go. A lot of people are going to flock to Robert Woods at $20. I mean, for good reason. Cooper will definitely be overlooked. Just one of my favorite plays overall on this slate. I'm definitely going to be overweight on him in tournaments. And honestly, for cash games, I don't think he's a worse play at this salary. It's not like he's 8K or 7K. I mean, he's 6,500 in a really good matchup. Plus, there's a little bit of a narrative here with like him getting benched in that last game against the Eagles. Still got 12 targets in that game, but he was not on the field like late in the game when they needed him like out there. I don't think that was because of injury or anything. I mean, I expect him to bounce back this week. I think Cooper's going to come out with some vengeance. I mean, this is just a play I'm very high on. I have a lot of conviction on Cooper this week. Definitely going to be overweight on him in tournaments. But then other receivers we could look to. Keenan Allen still feels underpriced on DraftKings, 6,100. I know he didn't have that great of a game last week. I was very heavy on him on DK. I mean, it was a really good play. 6,300 against Oakland. Now he's 6,100 this week. I mean, he still got 10 targets last week. I expect he still probably gets 10 targets this week, if not more. Definitely have interest in Allen at his salary. In the 5K range, though, if we're looking here, like Odell's really cheap, but still wouldn't consider him like a top play this week. Definitely will be in my player pool, though, at his salary. Michael Gallup as well. I wanted to talk about him and Cooper. I think are both really good plays this week. Gallup is 1,100 cheaper, so maybe a lot of people will flock to Gallup. I think Gallup is going to really pop like in projections, just in terms of point per dollar. I mean, he's still getting a ton of volume as well. When Dak Prescott's throwing the ball 30, 35 times, like you're seeing guys like Gallup and Cooper get double-digit targets in those games. We know the ceiling is still there for Michael Gallup as well. I think he's been better at home this season. Or actually, his splits have been pretty neutral, but I still have quite a bit of interest in him at 5,400. Golden Tate, 5,100 with Daniel Jones back under center. Definitely like him in this spot against the Eagles. I think he's a really good value at receiver. Mike Williams as well for 5K against the Chiefs is in play as a value receiver. But probably my favorite value receiver is Justin Watson. 4,900 on DraftKings, really cheap. Very cheap on Yahoo as well, $14 at receiver. I am definitely going to be stacking him up with Jameis Winston. I mean, we've seen like the last few weeks, like Watson's volume, it's definitely been there, especially last week against Houston with both Godwin and Evans out. Justin Watson got 10 targets, 5 catches for 43 yards and a touchdown. I think he played on a large majority of the snaps as well. I can check that real quick. Watson played on 96% of the snaps last week. I think Perriman played on nearly 100% of the snaps. Yeah, 96% of the snaps for both Perriman and Watson. Like, these are clearly the top two receivers for the Buccaneers right now. With how much they throw the ball, I expect both these guys get a large amount of targets for their price tags, especially. Like, Perriman probably gets 10 to 12 targets. Watson probably gets like 8 to 10 targets. With him being so cheap at 4,900, really good matchup against the Falcons. Really like Watson as a value receiver. I mean, he's one of the better values at the position in my opinion. But there are definitely other guys you can consider. I wouldn't go like all in on Justin Watson. I mean, I like Greg Ward quite a bit, especially now that Zach Ertz could be limited or not play this week. That would open up even more volume for Greg Ward. And he's been really good as of late with both Aguilar and Jeffrey out. Very good matchup as well against the Giants. Christian Kirk's too cheap, especially if Kyler Murray plays. 4,700. Jalen Ramsey is going to be out this week for the Rams. That's already come out, or they've already come out and said that. That was released like earlier on this week. So no Ramsey. Definitely a good spot for Christian Kirk. Steven Sims as well. I'll be keeping my eye on, especially if Terry McLaurin is out. If McLaurin's out, I think Steven Sims is going to get a lot of volume. I mean, he's just been really good as of late. He's 4,700 on DK. They did price him up, but like he's getting a lot of volume right now. 10 and 11 targets the last 2 weeks. We know the Redskins are probably going to be trailing in this game and going to have to throw a ton. No McLaurin would open up even more volume for Steven Sims, so definitely like him. He's really cheap on Yahoo. I think he's $11. Yeah, $11 on Yahoo. Steven Sims would probably be one of the best value receivers if McLaurin is ultimately ruled out. And as of Friday morning, I don't think McLaurin has practiced all week. I don't think he's cleared the concussion protocol yet. So very likely that he misses this week, which would open up Sims as a play. Even with like Will Fuller doubtful, you could definitely go to Kenny Stills at 4,600. But I think that's probably it for receiver plays, at least what I see as of Friday morning. Maybe some more value opens up. I know I've heard talks on like Miles Boykin for minimum salary, but I'm not really there. I just don't want to go to Miles Boykin. I haven't seen anything on like Marquise Brown. It seems like Brown's going to play this week. Only guys that are resting for the Ravens as of now are Jackson's going to be out, Ingram's going to be out, and that's all I've seen as of Friday morning. Maybe if some more guys wind up resting, that could change things. But right now, that's probably an avoid for me on like a guy like Miles Boykin. So let's go ahead and move over to tight end. We'll run through tight end, then we'll hit on defense just before we end the video. So at tight end, My favorite play at this position is probably going to be like going to the mid-range. I don't think I'm going to be paying up for guys like Kelsey, Andrews, Ertz. Like Ertz I would have interest in if he plays, but there's a pretty good chance he doesn't play this week. I mean, he was held out of practice on Thursday, rib injury, back injury. Like, this is a game they should easily win against the Giants. I think they can definitely win this game without Zach Ertz. I think it's likely that Zach Ertz sits this week, which is definitely going to open up Dallas Goedert. Is probably the top tight end play overall. 4,900 against the Giants. Like, this is where I want to go to tight end. I want to go to this like 4 to 5K range. Last week when Ertz got injured and like barely played, we got 12 targets from Dallas Goedert, 9 catches for 91 yards and a touchdown. With potentially no Aguilar this week, we know Jeffrey's going to be out. Like, Goddard's going to get a ton of volume, especially if Ertz is out as well. He is the top tight end play for me this week. Even if Ertz plays, I still think Ertz could be limited, and I still think Goddard would be a top option. $18 on Yahoo. Like him a ton over there as well. But there are other guys you could look to, like Hooper against the Buccaneers. I have a lot of interest in tournaments. Tyler Higbee in the best possible matchup he can get. 5,600 against the Cardinals. Like, Tyler Higbee has been so good as of late with Everett out. And even with Everett playing last week, I don't think he played like a ton of snaps. I can look at that real quick. Everett played on 6% of the snaps last week, even though he was healthy. Higbee played on 89% of the snaps. Like, Higbee is their number one tight end right now. He's put up over 20 DraftKings points in 4 straight games. Like, he's just been so solid. He put up 107 and 1 against the Cardinals back in Week 13, 26 DK points. I'm assuming Higbee's a full go, even though the Rams might rest some of their starters. I'm assuming Higbee plays. 5,600, like him, Hooper, Goddard. These are the 3 guys I really want to use as like tight end plays, as core plays. O.J. Howard as well, I will include there. O.J. Howard, 4,300 against the Falcons. Like, he's going to get a ton of volume. 7 targets last week, 3 catches, 46 yards. They're going to use him a ton now that Godwin and Evans are both out. He played on, I believe, a large majority of the snaps. 84% of the snaps last week for O.J. Howard. Definitely like him as a value at the position. But if I can, I'll probably try and be going to Hooper, Higbee, Goddard. These are the guys I like the most. And ranking those 3, I'd probably rank them Goddard 1, Higbee 2, Hooper 3. O.J. Howard I would include in there as well. Those are the 4 tight ends I like the most this week. But now defense, just looking at defense, running through the position real quick. Usually I always try and target like cheap home defenses that I think have upside. And just looking at defense, like cheap home defenses I think give upside. The Vikings, 2,900 at home against the Bears definitely stand out. I would probably look to them. I think the Packers against the Lions, even though they're on the road. Packers I like quite a bit at 3K. You could look to them. With Lamar Jackson out this week, Robert Griffin starting at quarterback. I don't think Robert Griffin's like going to be terrible, but I mean, he'll probably turn the ball over some. The Steelers defense is really cheap. They got priced down for Lamar Jackson starting, but Lamar Jackson is not starting. So the Steelers defense honestly might be my favorite defense play on the week. Either them or the Ravens. Like, there's a lot of good plays that stand out here. Even the Rams as well, like Rams, Ravens, Steelers, Packers, Vikings. Like, these are the defenses I probably like the most this week. I think right now Steelers probably would be my favorite at 3K, given their salary. On Yahoo, I think it's probably the same story. Like, their defense pricing is usually similar. Just looking at Yahoo though, cheap defenses, you can always find cheap defenses on Yahoo that are like in play. Let's see, like the Broncos for 13 at home against the Raiders. I like that. Cowboys at home against the Redskins for 14. I like that quite a bit. Probably won't be paying up at defense on Yahoo. Like, they actually did a pretty good job of pricing up their defenses. Honestly, I think the Cowboys probably the one that stands out the most. $14 at home against the Redskins. But yeah, guys, think we covered defense. Think we pretty much broke down everything for this Week 17 NFL slate. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed my NFL videos this season. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I still will be putting up videos for the playoff slates. I'll have videos up for the divisional round, the wild card round, conference championships. I'll probably even make a video for the showdown slate, for the Super Bowl slate. So still going to have NFL content out pretty much till February, till the Super Bowl. But this is our last full slate of the season. It's definitely one of the more fun slates of the season with all the injury news, with all the guys like resting. Gives you a pretty big edge if you pay attention to news. You can really get an edge over the field. But yeah, guys, drop a like on the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Click that notification bell. You can follow me on Twitter as well. Link down below. Also, link down below is my Patreon. If you want to get access to all of my exclusive content, you can check out my Patreon link down below. I have NFL and NBA content available over there. And NBA content goes up Monday through Friday. All of my NFL content I usually post on the weekend. So check all that out. Thank you guys for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.